Hello, hello, and welcome to Soul Sessions. My name is Sabrina Rising. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. I'm very excited to host this broadcast in addition to Oracle Hour, which I host every Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. Oracle Hour is the broadcast where I channel, and it's very mystical, and we connect to your spirit guides and your spirit team, and I do live readings and psychic readings on the spot. And tonight's format's a little bit different. I'm going to be diving into a topic around spirituality, personal development. And so I'll teach for about 20, 25 minutes, and then we'll jump into some soul seed coaching. So if you're watching me live and you want to come and you like what you hear, or you have some questions about your own spiritual development journey, your own personal development journey, then you can request to join us live, and my trusted moderator will send you a link. And sorry, we are just streaming in two different places here, so I'm just going to make sure we are live everywhere. Here we go. Okay, beautiful. Very good. So again, my name is Sabrina Rising, and thank you so much for being here. If it's your first time here, don't be shy. Feel free to jump on and put your questions in the chat. I will be discussing tonight's topic is sacred discernment. And what does this mean, right? It's our ability to know deeply within our bodies what serves our highest and best good, what is true for us, what is a yes, what is a no, not from a place of reaction or urgency or fear, but from a place of deep inner knowing, which is so important for us. Hi, Shiloh. Thanks for joining us. Again, if you're here and you just want to say hello, please feel free to jump on. It's always good to see you, especially happy to see. Thank you. Thank you, Shiloh. It's always good to see Oracle Hour community. Thank you for supporting, and thank you for being here. Hopefully you'll join us for some live coaching tonight. Okay, good. So we're streaming live in three places. As I mentioned, we're streaming on Facebook and Instagram. If you are watching on either one of those platforms, you can see me, but I cannot see you. So feel free to join us on YouTube at Sabrina Rising. And put your questions in the chat. Don't be shy. You can come on camera and be coached live, or you can just put your question in the chat and we can interact this way. It's my pleasure to coach you. So as I mentioned, tonight we're going to be talking about sacred discernment. And this is a topic that is it's very near and dear to my heart. It's actually, hi, Louise. Nice to see you. It's very near and dear to my heart in the sense where it really does help us distinguish the best possible path for ourselves, what serves our highest and best good. And if you think about it, all human beings struggle with the need to know. What should I do? What's best for me? What's my next move? What's going to happen? Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this, can I trust this? Can I move forward with that? Am I going to be okay? I mean, deep down inside, all human beings have a fundamental need for safety, right? We have for safety, for reassurance, and to trust that we are always provided for. We're divinely guided. We're making the best possible choices for this human experiment that we're all in. Okay. And so as a spiritual teacher and a psychic medium, discernment is something that I use not only in my personal practice, but also when I'm guiding others, because I have to be able to filter the information that I hear and understand, and be able to determine whether or not this is the truth, or whether or not this is coming from a place of urgency or emotionality, or perhaps some past conditioning. Okay. So something that I've developed in my own personal practice is being able to determine truth versus, falsehood, or where is the absence of truth in my own practice, so that I can make empowered choices. Right. And this takes practice. It takes an ability to trust oneself. Okay. Which is not always easy, especially if you've had, a tough childhood, if you have had a lot of disappointment in your life, if you've had experiences of betrayal, or just not trusting yourself, not trusting other people, it can be very challenging to develop trust in the unseen, in the unknown, in the realms where we really are just allowing ourselves to surrender and receive information versus using our logical mind. Now, the mind's job is to keep you safe. That's all it's here to do. It's to keep you safe. The mind, the conditioned mind, also known as the ego mind or the identity, its job is to keep you safe and free of whatever damage, whatever trauma, whatever triggers happened for you in early childhood. Okay, so and I talk about this very often. Hi, Jules, nice to see you. I talk about this almost in every video. I talk about early childhood conditioning and how this sets us up um, to think, behave, and make choices that are a reflection of this conditioning, that keep this conditioning in place, right? And because it's the reality that we know, it's what we've learned to believe, it's become our identity. And so this is becomes our very limited experience until we do the inner work to truly look at our beliefs and decondition. So coming out of this conditioning phase, which takes a lot of awareness, a lot of willingness, and so much courage. Okay, so I want to acknowledge you if you're on a personal development journey or a spiritual path, and you're coming online with your gifts, and you're learning to be more sensitive, and you're wanting to develop your intuition because it's important to you to develop personal sovereignty. And this is my wish for you, and my wish for all beings everywhere, is to really learn to trust your own inner knowing. Right. And we can't really trust our inner knowing if we don't have a tool for that will allow us to determine, what is discernment, right? To use discernment in our everyday lives. And so I'm going to teach you a tool that I use here in a moment, and then I'll take some questions. Okay. So again, we talk about early childhood conditioning and how this sets up our belief system, how this shapes our view of what's possible for us in our life, what other people are like, our perception of ourselves, our perception of the world around us. And so this limited view that we have can keep us stuck and can keep us in this perpetual pattern that may or may not make us happy, right? If we're limited, that we're not living our fullest potential. And if we're not living our fullest potential on a soul level, we don't feel fulfilled, right? We don't feel satisfied. We don't feel at peace. Okay. And so again, as I mentioned, the ego, the identity is meant to keep you safe. It's just trying to keep you safe. It gets a bad rap in spiritual community in terms of, negating the ego and denying the ego and transcending the ego. But the fact is that your identity is a form has allowed you to survive. Right. So it's been, when we look at it from a compassionate viewpoint, we see it as our friend. We see it as our, again, the inner child that's just wanting to get its needs met. Right. And so we can look at it from that perspective as well. So what we want to do is be able to examine our beliefs, examine our identity, and then choose from there the kind of reality we want to be living in, and untangle ourselves from this identity. Do it by doing, subconscious rewiring, doing breathwork practices, practicing affirmations, doing some somatic release techniques that allow us to heal ourselves on a cellular level, to release trauma from the body, so we can start to create a new felt experience in the body, which will allow us to instill these new beliefs and create this new pattern of behaving, pattern of thinking, of dialogue, of choosing, which ultimately creates a new version of yourself. We can all be reborn in our personal development journey, in our spiritual development journey. It's just a matter of choosing. Okay, choosing and saying, okay, I don't want to live this reality anymore. I want to start to choose something different. Okay, so we need discernment in order to be able to choose something different. We need to be able to determine what is true for me, right? What have I been choosing that's based in fear? This is an excellent metrics. It's very, very simple. Anybody can use it. Okay, so taking some deep, thank you, Darius, for sharing the link. Here's the link, by the way, if anybody wants to come on and, hi, Sunshine Beauty. And if anybody wants to come on and have some live coaching with me on camera, you're welcome to join me. Sunshine and Beauty says, good evening. Is this a live for questions or something else? Yes, it's a live for questions. Yes, you can ask questions in the chat, or you can come on camera with me. Hi, PJ. Nice to see you. You can come on camera with me as well. If you want to be coached live, you're welcome to join me. If you're shy, hi. It says, hi, Shiloh. Hi, Rising Community. I love the Rising Community. That's beautiful. So if you want to come on camera with me, don't be shy. The link is there. In the meantime, I'll keep talking a little bit about discernment. We're going to talk about what is discernment, how to use it in your everyday life so that you can determine what's true for you, what serves your highest and best good. Okay, so I'd like to start my practice by taking some deep diaphragmatic breaths. So I cannot emphasize this enough. This is something I talk about all the time. It is meant to be repetitive. I feel human beings learn through repetition. I know I certainly did. So breathing in and out of the diaphragm, just to slow down the mental chatter, all of the rumination, especially if you're in a choice point moment of your life. Like you've got some big decisions you want to make. Of course, we make decisions daily, right? So might be less of a big deal if you're choosing, what brand of coffee to buy versus, what pair of jeans to buy. These are not huge choices, right? But you could use discernment for anything, truly. Okay. Hi, Miss McKay. So here's what I want to say. So in terms of making big choices, it can be very emotional, right? If you've been in something that hasn't been working for you for a really long time, perhaps you've been in a relationship where you feel stuck, or a job that's no longer fulfilling you, or you've been in an old pattern of behavior, perhaps an unhealthy behavior, and there's something you just want to shift out of. It takes awareness, as I mentioned, and it takes a willingness to shift out of the beliefs that keep you there. Okay, so this is number one. And again, it takes discernment to practice what these beliefs are, what's going to serve my highest and best good, what's true for me in this moment, in order to be able to come out of some of these patterns. Okay, so as I mentioned, I like to start my practice with some deep diaphragmatic breathing. So breathing in and out of the belly, just slowing down the nervous system and relaxing, landing in the body. When we breathe diaphragmatically, we are actually coming out of fight or flight mode and moving into relax and digest mode. Okay, so as human beings, we're conditioned to move quickly throughout life. We're conditioned to do a million things in a day. We go, 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 go. It's very rare that we have that so many of us don't have a stillness practice or even a mindfulness practice throughout the day. It's very rare we give ourselves a moment to pause, especially if you're in the world, if you have a busy lifestyle, if you are raising children, or you're just having a regular human experience. It can be difficult to find moments of stillness and moments of quiet to just have peace. Okay. So practicing the deep diaphragmatic breathing at least 10, 20 minutes a day is a beautiful practice that allows you to ground and get into your body and, release some pent up emotions. As you learn to breathe diaphragmatically, you'll notice that you'll start to unearth some pent up energy, some pent up emotions or feelings. And those feelings might rise, they might come to the surface to be felt and to be experienced. Okay. So I like to start my discernment practice with some deep diaphragmatic breathing, just so I can clear the deck. I can clear the space. I can clear my internal landscape and just get quiet within myself and ground. Okay. Because throughout the day, I am in my mind, using my mind to, make life happen, to do the things that I'm supposed to do, to function as a human. And so it's not until I get into my body and I relax and I zone out with my diaphragmatic breathing. When I say like zone out, I mean zoom out, like, not focusing myopically on one specific thing, but really kind of zooming out and allowing myself to drop out of focus. So I'm not really attached to any particular outcome. I'm not looking at in any particular direction. I'm just allowing myself to relax and tune into the energy of my body and feel into the experience I'm having. Okay. So I'm preparing the way to practice discernment. Now I'm, kind of guiding you through this. This doesn't have to be sort of a long drawn out process. It can be something that you just drop into, especially with practice, breathing diaphragmatically, putting your hand on your heart and the other one on your belly and just quietly sitting with yourself so that you can tune into your essence. Okay, everybody, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of the urgency you might be experiencing in your life, or, the fear that you might be struggling with, whether it's conscious or unconscious, when we sit still and we do this practice, this diaphragmatic breathing practice, and just getting quiet and landing in our bodies, anybody can access this internal resource of inner peace. We all have it. It's there. We were born with it. It was there before this human incarnation. It'll be there after this human incarnation. It's the part of us that's always true. It's infinite and eternal. What's temporary is the human experience you're having, is the up and down feelings, right? The feelings of high and low. What's always available is peace, right? And so we want to be able to tap into this baseline of peace so that we can access our discernment. Discernment, and I'm going to say this very slowly, discernment is not accessible when you are in a highly emotional state. It's not possible to discern what serves your highest and best good when you're triggered, when you're in reaction, when you're in an urgent situation, when you're dysregulated or upset, etc. You get the point, right? So we need to be grounded and at peace and in the moment, really just landing in our bodies, just trusting that all is well, being able to embrace the circumstances as they are. And again, a very simple diaphragmatic breathing practice. If you're very dysregulated, you can take that to the next level and you can just kind of walk through the five senses. What do I see? What do I smell? What can I taste? What can I touch? Just to ground yourself into the present moment. Okay. It's very important. I teach this in almost all of my classes that are geared towards developing your intuition, developing your psychic gifts and your mediumship abilities. We come to this work with a sound mind and a sound body. Okay. And today we're not going to talk too much about the physical hygiene part, but the mental and emotional clarity comes when we're able to regulate our nervous system and really breathe into the moment and relax and trust that the messages we're receiving, that what we are feeling is neutral, right? So discernment is placid, neutral, peaceful, right? And so the reaction is triggered, urgent, and fear-based. And the ego, the identity, which has kept you safe this whole time, your whole life, it's really done its best to just keep you away from harm, to keep you safe from re-experiencing the pain of your childhood or the pain of your trauma or the pain of your relationships. It's done such a good job of doing that, but it's also preventing you from living a fully expressed life. It's limiting you from being, out in the world doing what you really love. It's limiting you from believing in the realm of infinite possibilities. Okay. So essentially limiting you from being self-expressed. Okay. And this is what we want on a soul level. We come into this human incarnation because we want fulfillment. We want to fulfill our human potential. We want to fulfill all our karmic contracts. We want to be able to make the most of this life and be at peace with ourselves. And we can't be at peace if we know there's some part of us that we haven't fully developed, or we haven't really fully expressed. Okay. I cannot emphasize this enough. So many disorders, diseases, neuroses can be attributed to a lack of authentic self-expression, a lack of inner peace, and just personal fulfillment. Okay. And so if we were just to focus on those things, we'd have a very different society. We'd have a very different world, instead of focusing on outcomes and performance and, that's measuring ourselves up against somebody else's metrics of what it means to be fulfilled or successful. Okay. So this is a very unique path that we're on. Every individual is different. So I encourage you to really look at your own life and discern for yourself. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no general right or wrong answer about what to do, what you should do in a situation, or what you shouldn't do in a situation. There's what honors you and what dishonors you, right? There's no right or wrong, but is this true for me? Is it not true for me? So again, starting with the deep diaphragmatic breathing practice, regulating your nervous system, being able to drop into your body, and really feel safe in the moment. We must regulate ourselves in order to have access to higher consciousness, in order to have access to divine truth. Okay. And so as we step online with this, we step in line with this practice, we're able to just breathe and ground. Then we can simply ask yes or no questions, right? This is something I love to do, especially, in the early days of developing intuition. It's a very easy, very accessible tool we can all use. A yes feels like leaning forward. It feels like your cells are opening up and expanding, and a no feels like your cells are contracting and you're sort of being pulled back. So this feels like a no. Again, you could ask any question about anything. If you phrase it in such a way that it's a yes or a no, it's easier to discern. Again, the metric says, am I choosing from fear or am I choosing from higher consciousness, right? What is making me make this choice? What is pushing me to make this decision? Whatever you're choosing from fear is going to manifest circumstances that are the same as what you're already living. Okay. So the consciousness that created the problem is not the one that can solve it, in other words, which is one of my favorite quotes. So we need to expand our awareness. We need to be able to bring in love and to bring in lightness and to bring in a level of groundedness and safety that perhaps we're not feeling, on a regular basis. And we're certainly not feeling that in those moments when we're triggered, in those moments when we have a sense of urgency, when we feel like we need to make a decision, especially if you're dysregulated, those choices feel like life or death. Okay. It feels like this is a survival moment, right? We want to come out of survival if we're going to be fully self-expressed. Survival mode will keep you in the same pattern of living you've always been. Okay. Nothing more will change. We can make some lateral moves. We can make a little bit of expansion. We can even force our way into bigger manifestations, but those manifestations will always come at a cost. They will always cost you your peace of mind, your health, your physical health, your relationships, perhaps your quality of life. Okay. And certainly your inner peace. So we want to be able to expand beyond our limited self, beyond the self that's kept us safe for so long. We want to be able to expand beyond that and be fully self-expressed and experience fulfillment. In order to do that, we need to live a life that's directed by our intuition. And how do we know we're listening to our intuition if we don't have discernment in place? Okay. So discernment feels like a very neutral yes. Like when you're listening for that yes or no in your body, it's like a placid, peaceful, neutral, calm, detached yes. There's no emotionality to it. It's not high and it's not low. It's just peace. Okay, which we always have access to. One of my favorite words in the English language is equanimity. And or my ability to be equanimous means I'm okay if it is, and I'm okay if it isn't. So this is neutrality. This is where we can access discernment. Okay. And we can't do that if we're triggered. And I wish everybody in the world knew that, had this information and used it every day, because our choices would look so much more grounded. They would look so much more, they would feel so much more in alignment with our authentic nature, right? Rather than choosing to stay in a job because you're afraid of not having money, or choosing to stay in a relationship because you're afraid of being alone, or choosing to, go with the status quo because you're afraid of not belonging or not being liked or not being approved of. These are all very painful choices. They're understandable because we want, from an identity perspective, we want to remain safe. We want to stay free of harm. We don't want to re-experience the pain of childhood, or the pain of the betrayals, or the pain of the heartache that we've had throughout the course of our adult lives. And so we want to stay safe. But like, as I mentioned earlier, your choice to stay safe is your choice to stay limited. Okay. And so the belief here is that I'm always safe. I'm always safe no matter what, even if I go beyond my perceived limitations, even if I go beyond what, I've been told or conditioned to stay within, right? Even if I don't have anybody else's approval. Okay. So you can imagine part of my personal journey as I started off as a mindfulness teacher, meditation teacher. I held, inner child containers for many years, teaching self-mastery, and then moving into more of a channeling role as a psychic medium. It takes a lot of trust and a lot of discernment to be able to choose, a role that is, not necessarily mainstream and not necessarily understood by so many others, right? And yet it's who I am, and it's something that I fully embody. And so, but without discernment, I would not have been able to get here. Without choosing something that's true for me versus what looks good to society, or what might be true for other people as they perceive me, right? And so it's very important that we look at our own personal development from this unique perspective and discern what is actually true for me in this moment. How can I tell if this is true for me? How does it feel in my body? Not what does my mind say about it? What does my past say about it? What does my fear of the future say about it? But what does my body say about it in this moment? Does it feel resonant? Does it feel like it empowers me? Does it feel like it serves my highest and best good? Even if on a logical level, it doesn't make any sense, right? And so it takes a minute to create this level of this space, this gap in your experiencing as you're, again, using your diaphragmatic breathing to ground, to relax, to create that spaciousness in your internal landscape, to calm down the ruminations in the mind. We're not going to stop the ruminations in the mind. That doesn't happen. Okay. But we can slow them down, and we can develop awareness to be able to observe our thinking and not fall prey to it, not sort of get enmeshed in the thinking. And just observe it as you witness your thoughts, but really tuning deeper into your internal experience and being able to sense, okay, what does this actually feel like for me? What does this feel like? Does it feel true or not? And this is discernment, and this is the path to self-mastery. This is how we learn to cultivate a life that's a genuine and true and authentic expression of who we are. Okay. And so with this practice, I hope you stop and watch this again and again, using the diaphragmatic breathing practice to ground, to center, with your hand on your heart and your other hand on your belly, and just simply asking yourself questions. If you have to do the mantras to keep yourself safe and grounded in the moment, I am safe, all is well, right here, right now, just to make sure that you're feeling fully relaxed and you can access that inner peace. From that place of peace, you want to ask your yes or no questions, and start with smaller things, so that you can, it feels a little safer. You can sort of develop this muscle and practice it, and then you can use it on things that are a little bit bigger, that require more emotional risk and a deeper leap of faith. And as you continue this practice, you'll see that the voice of your intuition will become louder and louder and louder, and you'll be able to use your discernment in moments without even thinking about this process. You'll just naturally drop into your body and see how it feels there. This will become a working part of who you are if you practice it on a regular basis. And this is sacred discernment. And this is what I use even when I'm channeling messages, if I'm connecting with your spirit guides, or if I'm connecting with your loved ones in a mediumship class, or if I'm offering a reading, I'm using my discernment, in a different way. I'm using it, okay, like, does this feel true, or does this feel like my imagination or my interpretation of things, right? And so we're constantly using discernment to be able to filter what's accurate and what's true for us, and if you're guiding others, what's true for other people. Okay, so I hope this was helpful, everybody. This is my chat on discernment. Let's take some questions. I have Darius here as moderating for me tonight. Who has questions for me about discernment? If anybody has any questions about their life, if they're feeling confused, or if you're feeling like you need some guidance, or perhaps you're feeling like you don't know, what's yes or what's no for you, or you want help working through that, then please feel free to ask questions. Hello, everybody. Good. All right, well, I can keep talking, so I'll just continue talking about discernment. Okay, good. So again, being able to choose what serves your highest and best good. Now, I've also said on many occasions that there is no wrong choice, and so I'll tie that into my chat about discernment. There is no wrong choice from the sense where you cannot make a mistake. Okay, you cannot choose something that is, an experience you're not supposed to have, because from a spiritual perspective, there's no accidents in nature. Okay, when we use our discernment, we're learning to trust the voice of our intuition, the voice of our higher self, to be able to make choices that are most empowering, that are most in alignment with our essence, with our soul, with what it is that we want to accomplish in the world, what we're here to accomplish in the world, and what we're here to experience ultimately. And when we if we, for whatever reason, are not using our discernment, or we make a choice based in fear, we make a choice based in, in those moments of reaction or urgency, we don't make mistakes. We just create the circumstances that are going to empower us to learn again and again and again. So I can keep choosing things not from a place of discernment, but from a place of reaction. And then from there, notice how, hey, when I make these type of choices, I end up in these type of circumstances. So it's not a mistake, but it's always an opportunity for learning. It's an opportunity for growth and for expansion. So again, I think it's really important that we give ourselves grace as we're making choices, as we're talking about, what to choose for ourselves. Is this right for me? Is this wrong for me? Should I stay in this relationship? Should I leave this job? Should I apply for this? Whatever your situation is, if you can, if you're using your discernment, you're going to choose guaranteed what serves your highest and best good, what's most empowering for you in that moment. And if you're not, you're still gonna choose what serves your highest and best good. It just will likely be a set of circumstances that will feel more challenging, that will require more growth, more development, and more expansion. There's a saying that says we always learn, right? We kind of, the same lesson will come around and around and around until we learn it. And this is part of the benevolent universe that we live in as human beings. We have an opportunity to continuously receive compassion through our experience in the universe, our experience as humans via the universe, that will offer us always the most favorable conditions to be able to grow and to expand from here. Okay. And hi, Kimberly. Kimberly says, hi, Sabrina. I had a man I have given 10 months to. He made plans with me this weekend and ghosted me. He has done this so many times. I am going to be done with him. Am I doing the right thing? I love this question. Well, okay, so first of all, notice how you feel in your body. Darius, if you could just keep the question up on the screen, that would be helpful. Thank you. Okay, so notice how you feel in your body. Okay, so obviously there's frustration, there's anger, there's hurt, right? So this is so important because we want to give ourselves space to acknowledge the emotions that we're feeling, and give them, give yourself an opportunity to feel the full range of those emotions with compassion and non-judgment. Okay. If he's ghosted you many times, I mean, I would say to you, just as an act of honoring yourself, I would say to you, you should be done with him. You should draw a boundary, right? There's no reason. There's something else I want to share with you too, Kimberly. If you still feel drawn to this person, even after he's ghosted you so many times, if there's a part of you that still feels pulled in, and I'm just saying this because I'm sensing this intuitively, like if you still feel like it's hard to resist him, there is trauma here for you to heal. Okay. There is, on a deep level, perhaps not even that deep, but if you want, if you look back in throughout the course of your life, there is some trauma here about not being treated properly, not being made to feel important. There is a part of you that wants, you want to be wanted by this person, or you want to pursue the person who's not emotionally available to you or isn't serious about you, right? And this feels painful, right? And so when we feel drawn to situations that are painful and potentially toxic for us, this is a sign of unhealed trauma. And I would recommend inner child work, right? I would recommend really just looking at some of your early childhood experiences and some of your conditioning. Why would you be drawn to this person, right? Why would you, even consider going out with him again after he's ghosted you so many times, right? And so, of course, him ghosting you is not your fault, but notice the beauty of how this experience was created, and it gives you the opportunity to reparent yourself, to honor yourself, to love yourself, and to set a healthy boundary and say, you know what, I'm going to stop the cycle of feeling this way, and I'm going to choose something better. Okay, so discernment in this moment would invite you to regulate your nervous system. So do some deep diaphragmatic breathing, put your hand on your heart, put the other one on your belly, and just acknowledge the pain that you feel, and acknowledge the hurt that you, and the disappointment and the disrespect that you experienced. And really just, I want you to validate that deep down inside, there's a part of you that just wants to get her needs met. Need for relationship, need for connection, need for love, and need for, companionship, which those are all viable needs, right? They're all valid. And so just noticing that, and then making that choice to choose something, using your discernment, say, how does this actually feel in my body? It doesn't feel good. So from there, here's a hard no. I'm not going to entertain this situation anymore. I'm not going to pursue this anymore. And when you hold that standard, Kimberly, in your life, you're not going to attract this type of person anymore. Okay. That person will leave you alone. That person will no longer, come back around. When we change our frequency, we change what we draw into our lives, right? We change what we're attracted to and what's attracted to us. Okay. So I want you to change, I am going to be done with him, to I am done with him. So, and yes, you are 1,000% doing the right thing. I know I gave you sort of a long-winded answer to your question, but I really want to empower you with the tools to support you in the choice that you're making. Okay. Kimberly says, I feel like I have scarcity. I've had my ex-partner leave me 2 years ago. This current man gaslighted me in the beginning. I am hurt, but I can't have that behavior in my life. Good. Yeah, I can feel that you're hurt and you shouldn't have that behavior in your life. And again, there's the clue, or what I was just channeling for you, right? This is a pattern of not being treated with respect and consideration from the men in your life, which stems from your relationship to the masculine. You want to look at, Kimberly, and I say this with love and gentleness, look at your relationship with your dad, look at your relationship with the men in your life, with the masculine in general. Notice how there's a part of you unconsciously signing up for these very painful experiences so that you can prove your worth, you can prove that you're lovable, you can sort of conquer the pain of being in a relationship with someone who's not emotionally available to you, and finally prove to yourself, I'm lovable. Right. And you don't have to put yourself in these very challenging situations to prove that you're lovable. You're the only one who needs to know that you're lovable. And once you believe that and embody that, you can move on from these type of relationships. Okay. When you say, I feel like I have scarcity, the scarcity, again, which is tied into the masculine, right? So money, work, career, expression, feeling provided for, feeling safe and provided for, these are root chakra experiences, again, pointing us to inner child work, feeling safe and solid and provided for in the world. If you don't have that in place, you're going to attract men where you don't feel safe, secure, and provided for. Okay. This is the simplest way that I can put it. And so I would work on that first. I would work on feeling safe and solid and provided for in your own body, in your own being, so that you're not looking for those needs to be met vicariously through the men in your life, the relationships in your life, and not choosing men that aren't those things, so that you can re-experience the pain of your childhood. Okay. So if you feel like you have scarcity, you do. Right. If you feel tight in your thinking, you feel tight, you're going to feel tight in your your resources, and you'll feel tight in your body. Right. So we want to practice softening that and feeling safe and feeling solid by doing some real inner work. And again, I couldn't recommend inner child work more. Like really taking a look at, how was I raised? What beliefs was I conditioned with? Like what do I believe I'm worthy of, right? And really challenging yourself to look at those beliefs, and then doing the work to establish new ones, so that you can come out of this pain and feel safe and provided for and choose better relationships. Okay. So this guy is a no for sure. Definitely. All right. I hope that was helpful, Kimberly. Beautiful. Sunshine and Beauty says, what guidance do your guides have in regards to what I can do to become the woman for a man, my life partner? I love this question. So many ways I can answer this question. Thank you for posing it, especially in the way that you did. So, first of all, you are not meant to become the woman for a man. You're meant to become the woman for yourself, right? You're meant to become the best version of you for you, because you enjoy it, because you appreciate it, because it feels good in your body to be you. When you fall in love with the version of you that you're not willing to compromise, that you feel completely content with, that you feel fulfilled by and at peace with, you're going to attract all kinds of men in your life. You'll attract all kinds of people in your life, all kinds of opportunities in your life, because you'll be so magnetic, right? So I want you to focus on personal magnetism for your own sake, and not to attract somebody, right? I think of this is very, conditioned thinking is very pervasive in our society. How do I become attractive to men, right? What do I need to look like, or how do I need to be, or what do I need to say, or what do I need to shift within myself in order to attract somebody? So this is, again, it's an extractive way of operating. You want to be embodied in self-love and self-honoring and self-care, and and have this be an effortless process that you really enjoy, so that it can be sustainable. And then the people that you attract into your life love you because of who you are, and not because of something that you're trying to be or trying to become. Makes sense? So my guides are saying, and your guides more so are saying, to really love yourself. Like, there's s- um, there's, especially around the body, it feels like on the physical level, there's some work to do there, like really loving your body and appreciating your body and taking care of it and honoring it, and believing that it's beautiful and that it's worthy of love, and just learning to fall in love with yourself. This is what I would channel for you. Very clearly learning to fall in love with yourself so that it can be sort of an inside job, and then from there you'll attract relationships into your life. And interestingly enough, when we do the work to fall in love with ourselves and to really honor, our, learn to appreciate ourselves and honor ourselves, we find the longing for the mate or the partner to be less intense, or at least it comes from a different place, right? We still want partnership and connection and community because that's what human beings are wired for. But it becomes less about filling a void and more about amplifying the love that we already feel within ourselves. And this is my message for you, Sunshine and Beauty, and for anybody watching. Really think about, like, how can I learn to live in love with me, and that, make that your body of work. And from there you'll learn to live in love with other people, and it'll be more of an addition to what's already working in your life, versus trying to fill a void and trying to be this missing piece. There's nothing missing. There's nothing missing in your life except your own regard for yourself, your own self-care, and I would say self-esteem needs a boost as well. Okay, Sunshine and Beauty. So I want you to focus on this, really focusing yourself. And it's interesting because I actually, I feel that you're an attractive person, right? And so, but I don't know if you fully embody that, if you fully believe that yourself. Okay. So that's my channeling for you. I hope that question was helpful, or that answer was helpful. Hi, Miss Makaya. Nice to see you here. Nice to have you here. Miss Makaya says, how can I differentiate between fear and intuition when they are both coming strong at the same time? Beautiful. This is discernment. Okay, so reaction is fear. Fear is reaction. So I'm triggered, I'm upset, I don't know what to do, I feel dysregulated, I feel like there's a sense of urgency. This is fear. You can feel it in your body. Okay, your mind is not an accurate guide of what's discernment versus what's fear. Okay, or intuition versus what's fear. Your mind is not an accurate guide for that, but your body is. It always knows. So do the work, as I mentioned at the beginning, to regulate your nervous system, to breathe diaphragmatically, to ground, to create a sense of safety and spaciousness in your own body, in your own internal landscape. And from there, ask the question. Okay, so intuition says, wait, don't do this. Not from a place of fear, not from a place of avoiding the pain of childhood, as I mentioned before. But intuition might say, wait, because it's what serves your highest and best good. And so you want to trust that. Okay. They can come in loud at the same time, but they feel very different. Fear is something you're going to feel like yourself shrink. You're going to feel yourself tighten when you're experiencing fear. Intuition is something where it feels expansive, it feels relaxed, it feels neutral and calm. Okay, so these are very key descriptive indicators of what both these experiences feel like. This is something you have to practice. Okay, so do I want to make this decision based out of fear? For example, let's say I want to just channel this for you. So let's say you're making a decision to spend money on something. It's a financial decision. It involves money. And the first impulse is to be afraid. Be afraid, if I spend this money, I will run out, or, it might, it will deplete my resources, right? Or you could work through the fear of, scarcity and all your feelings around spending, and then taking deep diaphragmatic breaths and accessing your intuition. And your intuition might still say, don't spend this, but it's coming from a different place. It's coming from intuition. It doesn't feel like scarcity. It feels like guidance, right? And that's two completely different experiences. Or your intuition might say, do the thing. You're okay. You're provided for. All right. But we have to make space for that. We can't do that if we're triggered. So we have to work through the trigger in order to access discernment. Okay. I hope that's helpful for you. Thank you for the beautiful question. Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie says, how am I blocking the love I desire? Okay, well, let's look at it. Um, I'm going to channel for you specifically. Um, First of all, I want to say that there's a part of you that's very afraid of getting hurt, right? So this is, and you might be aware of it, but I also feel like there's an unconscious part that's afraid of being hurt. And so, and this is true for so many of us. We want love, we want partnership, we want connection, we want intimacy, right, with another human, and yet, you know there is a part of us that wants to stay safe, that we don't want to be hurt, we don't want to be in that same painful situation. And so I feel like there's some part of you that's afraid of being hurt. And so again, being willing to fall in love requires being willing to have your heart broken. They can't be separated, right? A wall is a wall is a wall. So if you're keeping yourself safe, you're keeping yourself, from being hurt, but you're also blocking love, right? And so I want you to ask yourself, like, when you sit with this love that you desire, I want you to really envision it, right? Really see it, really believe that it's possible for you to have this love, because it feels more like a romanticized idea than an actual, like, um, something you wish for versus something you can actually have. Okay. So I want you to bring it into real time, like right here, right now, bring it into tangible evidence by believing that it's possible for you, and then really doing a sort of a self check to see where you might be afraid of being hurt, afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of taking a chance, right? There's something around vulnerability and being transparent and just bearing your soul and being able to tell the truth of who you are to other people that is hindering the kind of love that you deeply desire. Okay. So my guides are saying, like, intimacy, transparency, vulnerability, and the awareness that you don't need to protect yourself. If you meet somebody that you're in alignment with, that you feel is in resonance with you, again, you have an easier time attracting someone who's in resonance with you if you're doing the work that I just channeled for Sunshine and Beauty, really loving yourself and really honoring yourself and seeing your own self as worthy. So when you're doing that work, you're going to attract a different type of. Stephanie says, "I feel that good, beautiful." So when you're really loving and honoring yourself, you're going to attract a different type of person. Okay, and then so that resonance will sort of pave the way for you to start to develop transparency and vulnerability in your connections. This is going to open up the way for you to experience deep intimacy and deep love, perhaps for the first time. I want to say for you, Stephanie, like, it feels like this is something that we all deeply desire, intimate, loving connections where we feel fully seen and fully held and cherished and adored. I mean, we all desire that. Everybody wants that. But we can't not have that in our relationships if we don't have that in the relationship with self, right? So we have to practice these things in the relationship we have with ourselves, and hold that space so that when you are attracting someone into your life, they can meet you there. Okay. So this would be my advice to you, Stephanie, is to really hold the frequency of love, and to trust that it's okay, that no matter what happens when you're connecting with other people, even if you take a chance to make yourself vulnerable, to express your needs, to be transparent in your intimate relationships, that even if you do get hurt, that it will be worth it. It will be worthwhile, right? Because you will have loved, and you will have learned, and you will have, expanded your capacity to love. And it's an interesting thing about being hurt in relationships is that it really does show us how much love we're capable of and how resilient we are. Okay. So I want you to go all in your relationships, all in this idea of bringing love into your life, into tangible evidence, so that you can experience the fullness of what you deeply desire, which is my wish for you. Okay. Good. Kimberly says, "Thank you. Yes, I never knew my father." That makes sense to me, right? That makes perfect sense based on my read on your energy. the longing for the presence of Father creates a sort of a it creates a hole in our hearts. There's kind of a gap in our way of operating because we don't know what it's like to be daddy's girl, or to be special to our father, or to be loved by our dad, or to feel safe with our dad, or to have a father who is looking out for us. And so many of us who had fathers also didn't have those experiences. When you never knew your dad, there's a part of you that just doesn't know, that has no frame of reference for what it's like to be in healthy, loving, non-sexual, safe relationship with the masculine. And so you're going to, and as an attractive woman, Kimberly, which I'm sure you are, like, I sense that, like, you might be attracting men for, for the, I don't want to say the wrong reasons, but, because of your beauty or because of your sexuality, you might be attracting men, and sort of confusing the love that you need, the healthy masculine love that you're looking for the love that you're capable of getting because of what, because of being attractive, right? And this is true for so many women. And so it's very important to take a good look at, like, how you embody your femininity and how you embody your masculine energy as well. So doing some inner child work to heal the missing relationship with Father, so that you can embrace your own masculine presence. And we all have it, embracing the masculine within us and creating those traits within us, the traits that are meant to be modeled by Father: feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling special, feeling provided for, feeling guided, feeling grounded, and having a sense of structure and discipline. These are things that Father models for us. And when we don't have Father, or we don't have a healthy Father, we don't really have those examples, and we're sort of grappling with trying to figure this out, as a woman in the world, right? And so again, I'm speaking as a woman and to all women who are watching this video. So really looking at the relationship with Dad and how you would recreate this, experience with your own inner child, doing inner child work, and from there you'll see that you'll attract a very different type of man. But there's healing to do around your relationship with Dad, and that, or the lack of relationship, again, just a significant, right? It creates all kinds of other limiting beliefs that are operating largely unconscious for you right now. Okay, so doing some inner child work will really, really help your awareness, and it'll help you sort of learn to attract a different kind of men for different reasons, because you've embodied this experience of safety, and yeah, so that's what I want to channel for you. And this is my wish for you, is to do the inner work so that you can come out of this pattern and find healthy relationships. Okay, Kimberly, thank you. Hi, Vicky. Vicky says, hello, Sabrina. I'm worried about one of my kids that is finishing school and going to pursue their career. They have worked hard. I'm concerned about the industry they are pursuing. I hear you, Vicky. Okay, so I'm going to answer this in a couple different ways. So first of all, holding the frequency of worry is not helping. Okay, you want to stay in the vibration of all is well, and this will really help your child on an energetic level. Okay, so for example, when we worry, we're creating this energy of fear. We're creating this energy of something's wrong or something bad could happen, and that energetically affects the outcome of the situation. Okay, so we have a responsibility to manage our energy, especially when it comes to our loved ones, especially when we have an energetic bond, a tie, a cord in this relationship. This is one of your kids, so you are, there is a strong bond here, both physical and energetic. So the way that you can sort of affect the outcome in a positive way is by holding the frequency that all is well. Okay, and this is going to take some of letting go of your own fears and your own projections of what's happening in your child's life. Okay, you know, I feel like there's a sense of like physical danger, right? I actually, if you want my psychic opinion, and of course I'll always offer you that, I feel like your child's going to be okay. So I want to give you some reassurance. I don't think that there's a chance of physical danger or a chance of like, this pending doom that you are imagining. I know it feels like it's not a new thing, like it's happened, but it's not going to happen to your child. Okay. So I feel like your child is needs to walk this path, and they're very drawn to what they're doing. They're very called, they're very determined. I feel like this child has no questions. He has no questions about what he's doing. He just knows that this is the path he wants to pursue. And so just honoring that and holding space for it, and you as a parent learning to accept that they're making the choice that they need to make that serves their highest and best good. Okay. And if you want to empower your child with some discernment exercises that I offered at the beginning of this video, that would be good to pass this along, doing some deep diaphragmatic breathing. Yes, please. Thank you. Okay, good. So again, if you watch the beginning of this video, you'll see it, but I'm happy to repeat it here for your sake. Doing some deep diaphragmatic breathing. So breathing in and out of the belly, hand on the belly, hand on the heart, just kind of getting grounded and centered, and checking in with yourself. Am I choosing this from fear? Is there a part of me that feels obligated to do this, like I have to do it, like I'm expected to do it, like there's pressure on me to do this? Or am I choosing this because it just feels good? It just feels good. It feels right. It feels true for me. It feels like it's something that lights me up. This is something that lights your child up. Then this is what they need to do, right? And again, I would trust that. I would trust that we all have, there's a divine plan for each and every one of us as we come into this incarnation, and what we're here to fulfill, what we're here to accomplish, and the gifts we're here to express. We're all here to express our gifts in a variety of different ways. And so trusting that your child is on the right path. There's some letting go that you need to do, Vicky. Some letting go, detaching, and just learning to to create the frequency of safety, and that it all is well. Okay. If I sensed that there was something, thank you, it does light her up, I'm so proud of her. Okay, good, beautiful. Yeah, so you see there's that part of you that that this is what she really wants, right? And so you want to be able to empower her, and you want to create that open dialogue with her so that she is excited to share with you, right? So that she is excited to tell you about work, or to tell you about her applications, or to tell you about what she's doing, and so on. So you want to be supportive in that energy, because that's really going to help your relationship. Okay. In the meantime, yeah, the work that you can do is just to, ground and keep yourself, in this place of loving detachment. It's hard. I mean, I'm a parent as well, and it can be tough, to just let go and see, and, trust that your child is having the experience that they're supposed to have, but I feel like this girl she's got some really good judgment, and she's very determined, and she has a good head on her shoulders. So I would really relax and trust that she's exactly where she needs to be, having the experience she's supposed to have, and all will be well. Okay. So yeah, so some inner work for you to do here, and letting go and holding the frequency, not of worry, but of like empowerment, like, oh, of course it's all going to work out for you, right? She needs that from you, now more than ever, feels like. Okay. So I hope that was helpful, Vicky. Thank you for being here. Sunshine of Beauty says, yes, there is some body shame. Yeah, I really felt that when I was channeling for you, big time. So I'm glad that you're comfortable enough to admit that. And yet the only way I know how to be the woman for him, I will need to learn to fall in love with me. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, 100%. I don't want you to be the woman for anybody, pardon me, for anybody other than yourself. I want you to fall in love with you, to be able to. There's a really good exercise, that I did for many years. I came out of horrible eating disorder behavior when I was very young, my late teens, early 20s, and mirror work, which is it's not a new concept, but just standing in front of a mirror and learning to hold your gaze until you stop cringing, like really just learning to love every part of your physical self, and just staring at your own reflection, with softness, with compassion, with acceptance, and with love, and learning to see yourself as beautiful. This is a choice you need to make. It's a shift in perception, and I feel like there's a lot of softening that you could do there, so that you can be beautiful for yourself, right? And so you have to be able to see yourself as beautiful, to embrace yourself as beautiful, so that you can carry that energy of I'm beautiful because it's true, right? Because it's who you are. And from that place, you'll notice that you'll attract different relationships. You'll attract different types of men as well, because they are drawn to the light within you, to the beauty that emanates from the work that you've done to love yourself. Okay. So I hear you on the body shame. I can relate to it. It's a very painful place to live, and it really has less to do with your physical body and more to do with unmet needs and nurturing. I want you to look at the relationship with mom, okay? That early childhood conditioning and what that relationship was like for you, and the beliefs that were established as a result of that relationship, okay? And really looking at some of the messaging in your childhood as well, okay? Because again, shame it keeps you in shame. And so the more you talk about it, the more you come out of shame, and the more you practice these exercises that I'm offering, the diaphragmatic breathing, the grounding techniques, the discernment, and in your case, the mirror work, you'll notice that you'll come out more into a place of self-acceptance and self-love, and self-celebration, right? This is what I want for you, is to be able to celebrate your beauty and celebrate your worthiness. And from there, there's less of a concern about being attractive to anyone else other than you. Okay. And this empowers you. Right. Beautiful. No, you're welcome, Miss McKay. Thank you for your question, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support. Okay. Um, all right. We're going to take this as the last question. Okay. I have Sarah says, I have a deep seated anger in myself. What guidance do you have for me? Beautiful. Okay. So, anger points to an unmet need. Every time we're experiencing an uncomfortable emotion, whether it's anger, frustration, it could be sadness, it could be loneliness, it points to an unmet need in our lives. So the first thing I would do is to give yourself permission to feel the full range of your anger. We live in a society where it tells us not to be angry, or to work through your anger, or to transcend your anger, or to bypass your anger. It's really important that you give yourself permission. I feel especially for you, Sally, you kind of like, you're not, I feel like you try to stuff it down, you try to keep it in, right? And so, and this is a conditioned response of like trying to be the strong one or try to keep it together. And so, what I would love for you to give yourself some space to experience the full range of your emotions with compassion and non-judgment. Okay, so again, starting with the diaphragmatic breathing, this will ground you and center you and create the space for you to experience your feelings. Okay, to unearth them and to untrap them from your body. We want to be able to release these feelings and set them free. Once you've had the chance to really fully experience your anger, whether it's, you can scream into a pillow, which is very helpful, and just kind of, have a good cry, but really releasing the energy from your body is what's needed here. So again, somatic healing, breath and body release. A breath work class would actually be really good for you as well. So you can do some deep releasing. And from there, I would then sort of acknowledge what the unmet need is, because the anger is connected to that. What is the need you're not meeting, that's not being met? It can be, again, feeling like, you have to do everything on your own, or there's some conditioning around I'm on my own, or a lack of support. I want to say, just to keep it general, and you can verify, you can fill in the gaps for yourself. But there's some anger around the lack of support, of feeling like you're on your own. And so what's needed there is support, right? So looking at the unmet need, and then being willing to acknowledge what your need is, and then advocating for yourself. So feeling your feelings is great, but we need the transformation, right? The release is beautiful because it creates, spaciousness, and it creates deep inner peace and awareness, and you'll feel better physically. But then we actually need to put the structures in place so that you can step out of this pattern. What is Sal saying? I'm afraid that if I do release it, I will lose control because of how long and how much it is stuffed inside. Yeah, I don't want to be dangerous because I've lost control. This is, I really appreciate what you're bringing forward here, Sal. I really appreciate it because so many of us don't give ourselves permission to feel our feelings because we're afraid that this is like, Pandora's box. I'm just never going to come out of it. And so this is a very common misconception. Your emotions are temporary. I promise you. There is, no matter how much anger you have pent up inside, it doesn't matter how long it's been there for. Once you start releasing it, it will dissipate. Okay. Emotions are up and are down and down. They come and go. The baseline of you, what's always true, what's eternal, what is will always be there is peace. That is the essence of who you are. So we want to be able to work through your anger so you can get to peace. Okay. And it might come in waves. You might have to do a breathwork session or another breathwork session, and then, maybe a series so that you can learn how to really release this anger on a regular basis. And you need a daily practice that will allow you to blow off steam on a regular basis so that you're not holding all these emotions and stuffing down your anger. Okay. This takes conscious living. You start living consciously, then you start to work through your grievances throughout the day. You start to put structures in place that don't force you to betray yourself. They don't force you to say yes to something when you really mean no. They allow you to advocate for your needs so that you feel supported. You need to build a life that allows you to live peacefully. Okay, so this is going to take some steps. For now, the deep diaphragmatic breathing and the anger release is where you need to be. And then, of course, not staying in that space. Once you've released your anger, then you want to sort of walk yourself into positive beliefs and positive structures that give you permission to, again, ask for whatever it is that you might need. Okay. So there's an unmet need there that needs to be resolved in your life. And until you do, you're going to continue to be angry about it. And it's going to continue to build up. Okay. Is this making sense to you? Any professionals or course or books do you have for this? Well, I'm the professional. So I guide people through inner child containers, will allow you to, of course I'm happy to recommend some books as well. And we can put those at the end of the video, in the comments. But as far as facilitating this process, it really is helpful when you have a guide. For example, when I sit with someone and I facilitate inner child work, we go into those deep feelings, we experience the full range of our emotions, we release our anger, and then we're able to come out the other side with some structures in place, kind of like a healing balm that you would put after operating on a wound, for example. And then having this methodology and being able to go through this process over and over and over again until there's very little anger left, is going to be very helpful for you. Okay. So we'll put the link here. And Darius, if you want to put it up now, because we're past the hour, the link to work with me. So for anybody watching, if you want to come and do some inner work, there is a one-to-one link to work with me on my website. You can just come and book a 30-minute consultation. I'd be happy to guide you through these processes and talk more deeply into what's available to you. Darius, do you have the link? Here we go. Beautiful. There is a link for anybody watching. You can just click on that and come book a free consultation, and we can have a chat about how to help you out of suffering, how to help you develop discernment, how to help you release your pent-up emotions, heal your childhood, heal your beliefs, rewire your subconscious mind so you can have the life that you love. Okay. There's really no other way that I've experienced myself as a person who has healed herself from so many different things. To live an empowered life requires radical self-responsibility, requires taking the steps that you need to take in order to taking the steps that I'm advocating for in order to feel empowered in your life and to not be a victim of your circumstances. I loved what Sal brought forward about like how if I start releasing my emotions, I feel like I'll never stop. And this is a misconception. The fact is you don't feel safe to feel your feelings, which is why having a guide is so important, because you can be walked through this process and sort of brought through to the other side. Any good guide, whether it's me or anyone else, any good guide with integrity can do this for you and then teach you how to do this for yourself so that you can learn to experience your feelings on a regular basis, and not be afraid of them. Okay. Being afraid of our feelings keeps us stuck in our patterns. It keeps us stuck in our limitations, and it can create disease in the body, and of course disorders in the mind as well. So it's really important to learn how to resolve our uncomfortable emotions, again, with compassion and love, and learning to identify our unmet needs so that we can rectify that in our daily lives. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Hi, Angela. Just saying hi. Thank you for saying hi. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I'm so happy to be here for you, to serve you. There's the link to book one-on-one. For those of you that want to learn how to channel and learn how to develop your intuitive abilities, your psychic abilities, you're so welcome, Sal. You're so welcome. If you want to learn how to become more sensitive, more empathic, tune into the subtle energies, learn to receive messages and guidance that you can trust and really rely on, develop the voice of your own intuition, and develop your gifts. Perhaps you want to serve others with these gifts. I am hosting an 8-week group class called The Way of the Mystic. And Darius is going to put the link for that. There it is, The Way of the Mystic. It starts June 21. It's an 8-week program. It's a beautiful community. All skill levels are welcome. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner, if you have experience, if you're a professional psychic or medium or channel, or if you just want to dabble and learn how to develop your intuition. As I mentioned, it's a very loving and supportive community. Of course, you're welcome to join us. And if you register before May 30th, you get 25% off. So use Mystic, as Mystic is the coupon that you type at checkout, and we'll put those links at the end of this video as well. Okay, so looking forward to seeing you there. And don't forget to join me Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific for Oracle Hour. That's where I channel. I do live readings on the spot. The whole hour is dedicated to live readings, which is so fun. Come join our community. I look forward to seeing you all there. Oh, you're welcome, Kimberly. I really appreciate you being here tonight, and wishing you all the best. Okay, I'll see you all Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Good night.